You've been lied to about sleep your entire life. Not about whether it's important. You know it's important. You've heard that 1,000 times. The lie is subtler than that, and it's costing you in ways you cannot yet measure. The lie is this, that the goal of sleep is rest. It isn't. The goal of sleep, the biological purpose of those hours you spend unconscious every night, is reconstruction. Full, systematic, cellular-level rebuilding of every system in your body. Your muscular architecture, your hormonal infrastructure, your immune defenses, your neural wiring, your emotional regulation circuitry. All of it is dismantled, repaired, and rebuilt in the dark. Which means every night you sleep badly, every night you shortcut it, fragment it, medicate it, or stumble into it in a state of artificial stimulation, you are not just tired the next morning. You are operating on a body that was never fully rebuilt. And over months, over years, over decades of broken nights, the cumulative damage is something most men don't discover until their 40s, when the testosterone has silently cratered, when the inflammation has quietly compounded, when the cognitive edge they used to take for granted is simply gone. I spend 3 years digging into this, the ancestral biology, the sleep architecture of pre-industrial cultures, the modern research on what specific sleep patterns do to hormonal output, to recovery rate, to cognitive performance. And what I found completely changed how I think about every hour between sunset and sunrise. And in this video, I'm going to give you all of it. What's actually happening inside your body during a correctly structured night of sleep, why almost everything about your current sleep environment is working against that process, and the specific primal sleep protocol that I and the men in this community use to turn those 8 hours into the most productive, most restorative, most performance-enhancing block of every 24-hour cycle. This is not a wellness topic. This is a performance topic. And by the time this video ends, you will never look at your bedroom the same way again. Stay with me. Before we go any further, if you're new here, welcome. This channel is called Primal Unleashed, and everything we do here is built on a single standard. We call it the Silverback Standard. The creed, modern life makes us soft, primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature. That creed runs through every video on this channel, every protocol I share, every community challenge we run together. It's not branding, it's the operating philosophy behind every choice we make about how we build our bodies and our lives. And today, that philosophy runs directly into the one arena most men completely neglect, not because they don't care, but because nobody has ever explained what's actually at stake. So let's fix that. I want to paint you a picture of what a normal Tuesday night looks like for the average man in 2026. He finishes work or finishes the scroll session that replaced work somewhere between 9 and 11 at night. He eats something, probably ultra-processed, probably watching something on a screen. The screen is bright, the food is dense with refined carbohydrates, his cortisol, the stress hormone that is supposed to be low and declining at this hour, is artificially elevated from the blue light stimulation and the cognitive load of whatever he just consumed digitally. He gets into bed with his phone, scrolls for another 20 minutes, falls asleep mid-scroll, screen still on, phone still in hand. And then he wonders why 8 hours later he wakes up feeling like he barely slept at all. Here's why. Sleep is not a uniform state. It is a cycle, a precise structured architecture of different neurological phases that your brain moves through in roughly 90-minute windows across the night. Shallow stages, deep slow-wave sleep, REM, back to shallow, repeat. Each of those phases serves a completely different biological function. Slow-wave sleep, the deepest phase, is where your body releases the majority of its nightly pulse of growth hormone. This is not optional for recovery. This is the mechanism by which your muscles rebuild, your connective tissue repairs, your immune system consolidates its defenses. If you're training and not getting adequate slow-wave sleep, you are not recovering. You are accumulating damage without the repair cycle to address it. REM sleep is where your brain consolidates memory, processes emotional experience, and literally prunes and rewires its own neural architecture. It's also when your body runs its hormonal regulation cycle, including the testosterone production that determines your drive, your aggression, your capacity for focus, and your physical performance the following day. Now here's what most men don't know. The proportion of slow-wave sleep to REM sleep shifts across the night. Your deep slow-wave phases are front-loaded. They dominate the first half of your night. Your REM phases are backloaded. They dominate the second half, particularly the final 2 hours before waking. Which means that when you go to bed at midnight or 1 in the morning, even if you sleep for 8 full hours, you are cutting into the front end of your slow-wave window. You are reducing the repair phase. You are compromising growth hormone output, and you're leaving recovery on the table. And when you expose yourself to bright light, artificial sugar, to cognitively stimulating content in the hours before sleep, you are suppressing melatonin production, the signal your brain uses to initiate the transition into those deep phases in the first place. Your body cannot build what it was never signaled to build. I want to ask you something right now, and I want you to answer honestly in the comments. What time do you actually go to bed most nights? Not the time you tell people, the real time, because that one number tells me more about your hormonal health than almost anything. Now, let's talk about what our biology was actually designed for. Before artificial light, before the electric bulb, before screens, before the entire infrastructure of modern civilization that lets us extend our waking hours infinitely, human sleep was governed entirely by the sun. You were awake with the light, you were sleepy when the darkness came. Your melatonin rose naturally as the sky faded, your core body temperature dropped, your nervous system shifted out of sympathetic activation, the alert, reactive state, and into parasympathetic dominance, the repair, rebuild, recover state. This transition was not slow. In pre-industrial cultures, and we have solid anthropological evidence of this from studies of modern populations who still live without artificial light, sleep onset after dark comes within 1 to 2 hours of nightfall, consistently, without effort, without melatonin supplements or white noise machines or sleep trackers, because the biological machinery for sleep induction is exquisitely calibrated. It just requires the correct inputs. And the correct inputs are not complicated. They are ancient. They're written into your genome. Darkness, cooling.
Physical fatigue from genuine movement during the day. A nervous system that was allowed to complete its stress cycles, to build and discharge tension through real physical challenge rather than accumulate low-grade chronic stress from sedentary screen exposure with no physical outlet. That is what this system was built for, and when you give it those inputs, even imperfectly, even partially, the results are immediate and measurable. Not in weeks, not in months. The first night. That's how responsive this system is when you stop fighting it. So what does a primal sleep environment actually look like? Let me walk you through the specific changes I made and that the men in this community have made that produce the most significant and rapid improvements in sleep quality. The first change is temperature, and this is the one that surprises most people the most. Your core body temperature needs to drop approximately 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius to initiate and sustain deep sleep. This is not a preference. It is a physiological requirement. Your body cannot enter slow-wave sleep without that temperature decline, which means a warm bedroom, a bedroom above approximately 18 degrees Celsius or about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, is actively preventing your body from reaching its deepest recovery phases. Most men are sleeping in rooms that are too warm, kept warm by central heating, by the heat output of electronics, by thick synthetic bedding that traps body heat without allowing the temperature regulation your system needs. The fix is direct. Drop your sleep environment to between 62 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius if you're working in metric. Use natural fiber bedding, linen, cotton, wool that breathes and allows your body to regulate rather than accumulate heat. If you can, sleep with a window cracked, not because the air quality difference is dramatic, though it helps, but because the mild, natural temperature variation of outdoor air across the night mirrors the conditions your sleep architecture evolved in. The second change is light, and this is the one modern life makes hardest. Your photoreceptive system responds to blue spectrum light, the dominant frequency in screens and LED bulbs in the overhead fluorescent lighting that fills most kitchens and living rooms, by suppressing melatonin production. Specifically, the melanoception receptors in your eyes send a direct signal to your suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's master clock, that it is still midday, and your brain responds accordingly. It does not prepare for sleep. It prepares for continued wakefulness. The fix here is not complicated, but it requires a structural change to your evening. No overhead LED lighting after sunset. Use warm, low-intensity light sources in the evening hours, incandescent bulbs if you can still find them, amber LED alternatives, candles if that works for your household. Get off screens entirely for 90 minutes before the time you want to be asleep. I know that feels impossible. I know your evenings feel like the only time you have to yourself. I'm not asking you to give up your evenings. I'm asking you to change what they look like. Read instead of watching. Talk instead of scrolling. Move instead of sitting. Do things that are genuinely restorative rather than things that simulate rest while actually taxing your nervous system. And this one is non-negotiable. Keep the bedroom completely dark. Blackout dark. Not dark-ish, not there's a street light but I can deal with it dark. Completely, fully dark. So that when you wake in the night, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. Your skin contains photoreceptors, not just your eyes. Light at any intensity while you're asleep, from a charging cable indicator, from a clock display, from a street light through a threatened curtain, is perceived by your sleeping body and disrupts the depth and architecture of your rest. Make the room a cave. That's not a metaphor, that's physiology. Here's the part of this that took me longest to understand. Sleep is not passive. I used to think of sleep as the absence of activity, the period where nothing was happening, where I was simply switched off, waiting to be switched back on. And that framing made it easy to deprioritize, easy to shortcutting, easy to sacrifice to late nights of work or entertainment, because it felt like the safest thing to cut. What I eventually understood is that the opposite is true. Sleep is the most metabolically active, the most biochemically complex, the most structurally important thing your body does in a 24-hour cycle. The waking hours, the training, the work, the eating, the living, those create the stimulus. But sleep is where the adaptation to that stimulus actually happens. You do not become stronger in the gym. You become stronger in the dark, while you're unconscious, while your body is doing the work you cannot consciously direct. You do not become more mentally sharp from studying or from demanding work alone. You become more mentally sharp when your brain spends sufficient time in REM architecture, consolidating what it learned, pruning what was irrelevant, strengthening the neural pathways that matter. Everything you invest in your waking performance, all of it, has its return delivered during sleep. If the sleep is fragmented, shallow, or insufficient, the return is partial, or it doesn't come at all. This is why the man who trains hard but sleeps poorly is often less recovered than the man who trains moderately and sleeps well. The sleep is the variable. The sleep is where the compounding happens. And once you understand that, once you feel it in your body, not just understand it intellectually, you will guard your sleep the way you guard any other high-value investment. Not because someone told you to, because you can feel the difference in your body by day 3. I want to give you something concrete to do right now, not next week, not when you've sorted out your schedule. Tonight, one change, just one. Move your phone out of your bedroom tonight, not to the other side of the room, out of the room. Charge it in the hallway, the kitchen, wherever, just not within reach of where you sleep. That single structural change eliminates the primary source of both pre-sleep stimulation and middle-of-the-night disruption for most men. It takes 30 seconds to implement, and the impact on your sleep architecture is immediate. Do that tonight, then come back to this video tomorrow and tell us in the comments what happened. Did you fall asleep faster? Did you wake up differently? Did you notice anything? I genuinely want to know, because this community learns from each other's lived experience, not just from what I tell you. And while you're in the comments, tell me this. What is the single biggest thing sabotaging your sleep right now? Late nights, stress that won't switch off, the phone, the temperature? Name it, because naming the specific obstacle is the first step to dismantling it. Let me tell you what this is actually about, underneath all the biology and the protocols and the sleep architecture science.
Every great thing you were trying to build in your life, the physical capacity, the mental sharpness, the emotional regulation, the presence you want to bring to your relationships and your work, all of it runs on one foundation: a nervous system that has been fully restored, a body that has been genuinely rebuilt, a mind that has been properly consolidated. Those things only happen in the dark. They only happen when you stop, when you surrender to the process that your biology has been running for hundreds of thousands of years, that knows exactly what to do, that is exquisitely good at its job, as long as you stop interfering with it. The modern world has made interference the default. It has given you 1,000 reasons and 1,000 tools to stay stimulated past the point where your body was designed to be awake, and it profits from your compliance. Primal Unleashed exists to offer the opposite of that. The silverback standard is not about extremism, it's about recalibration. It's about understanding what your biology was designed to do, and then building a life that is structurally compatible with that design, rather than constantly fighting it. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is the foundation on which everything else is built. The man who sleeps like a primal animal, dark room, cool air, phone gone, no artificial stimulation for the final hour of his day, consistent timing that honors his circadian architecture, that man wakes up rebuilt. He wakes up with testosterone that was produced correctly during the night. He wakes up with a nervous system that completed its repair cycle. He wakes up with a mind that processed and consolidated and is ready, genuinely ready for what the day demands. That is the version of you that is available every single night, as soon as you stop getting in the way. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature. And we don't just train in the light, we recover in the dark. Both halves matter. Both halves are part of the standard. Here's your close. 3 things right now before this video ends. First, if this channel is new to you, subscribe and turn on the bell. The next video is going directly into morning cortisol management and the specific first 60-minute protocol that determines the hormonal trajectory of your entire day. You don't want to find that one 3 weeks late. Second, leave a comment. Tell me your bedtime. Tell me the thing that's sabotaging your sleep most. Or if you're committing to the phone out of the bedroom change tonight, type dark room in the comments right now. Make it real by making it public. The men in this tribe are reading. They will hold you to it. Third, if you know a man who is grinding hard but running on empty, who is putting in the work but not seeing the return, send him this video. Because 9 times out of 10, the missing variable is the night, not the day, and finding that out could change everything for him. I'm Dr. Aris Thorne. This is Primal Unleashed. Modern life makes us soft. Primal movement makes us unbreakable. We don't just lift weight, we reclaim our nature.